Hello and welcome back to another video with Conscientious Cosmos. I'm Aubrielle, and today we are going to be talking about the zodiac sign of Cancer, hoping for this to be a snowballing into what the latest Cancer season has been like, and also how this Jupiter in Cancer transit that lasts for 12 months will be, giving us certain characteristics. Yeah, so let's jump right into it. I hope you guys are doing very well wherever and whatever time you're tuning in. I'm very excited to be talking about this. I actually filmed this video before, but I didn't have the energy that I wanted to have behind it, so now I feel refreshed and renewed and ready to get into it. So the sign of Cancer is the fourth sign in the zodiac, and it is it's preceding the sign of Gemini, and it is before the sign of Leo. Cancer is a cardinal sign, meaning that it marks the beginning of the summer season. All cardinal signs do that, so Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, in some form of their own way, mark the beginning of a season. So Aries would be the beginning of spring, and then Taurus season would be like the way of breathing life into that. So the solstices and equinoxes fall on cardinal months of the year. So we just celebrated the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, which was on June 21st. Again, right before and Cancer season around that time. So yeah. The ruling planet of Cancer is the moon. So, Cancer, it makes perfect sense with Cancer being a water sign, and the moon is known for having dominion over the tides and the oceans and things like that. So you'll see a lot of correlation between Cancer and the moon in the water as well. Cancer being symbolized by the crab, and crabs are known for existing within those, shallow waters, the tidal waters, sand crabs right underneath the surface of, the shallow waters of the ocean. Or, I know that there are some deeper sea crabs as well, for sure. And I think that when, after talking about the elements, keep that in mind, as always correlate real life, natural world examples into the astrology, and you'll start to see more characteristics that just make sense. So, it might not be the shallow waters of the, Cancerian crab. Maybe it could be, like Cancer in the 12th house, and then you have a deep sea crab, that sort of thing. So that's just a silly example, but I think it's notable nonetheless. Another, sharing characteristic that the moon in Cancer have is being attributed to the divine feminine. So Cancer is considered a feminine sign, and this is because it has dominion over certain body parts as well, like the stomach, the breasts, the womb, which is a watery portal of creation as well. And that word creation is something to keep in mind, especially as we talk about the cardinality more. That's something that cardinal signs are most attributed to, is, an aspect of creation. So some fun facts is that Cancer was believed to be the original scribe by ancient societies, because they would observe the crabs in these tidal waters and how they would scratch at these rocks and stuff, and it would leave different sigils and stuff like that. So, that's where you might see ancient significations of the sign of Cancer being attributed to the crab. I've known many Cancers that, have written things, or they've not just, scribe doesn't have to be writing, especially in this modern day and age. Scribing can be like, just simply talking and making a video, because this video has a transcript as well. So it can be, something creative, YouTube videos, music, and that's also a kind of free flowing aspect of the feminine counterpart of Cancer. Yeah, and I think another thing that is important to note with Cancer, or where Cancer might be within your um, chart, is that there's always going to be an aspect of change and growing. Crabs are known to molt or shed their skin, certain crabs, in order to um, grow bigger. And as a side note, that's something to keep in mind with this Jupiter and Cancer transit, with Jupiter being the planet of expansion, and it's looking for that beneficial growth wherever Jupiter is within your chart, and especially wherever Cancer is within your chart. It's looking for beneficial growth from you. It's asking for that. Like, you're ready for it. You're ready for it. One thing about these transits is that it's going to teach you that you're ready, whether you think it or not, especially when we apply a growth mindset and these benefic qualities that Cancerian signs and um, the planet of Jupiter will be bringing. It's not something to fear. It's definitely something to embrace, and I do see that with cardinal signs for sure. An aspect of it when they're in their, receiving for their highest good and changing for their highest good. An aspect of just, doing it all despite all. Um, so let's think of some other things that are a bit more. So I mentioned some of the anatomical associations that with Cancer, the breasts, the stomach, but even more so, not just the breast, but the chest in general, because this is masculine and feminine, and it's not necessarily denoting to a specific gender. I mean, we're just talking about humans, but you can attribute this to probably only humans and other, mammals as well, of course. So the stomach and the digestive system, the diaphragm, the lymphatic system, and bodily fluids, and then the womb and reproductive organs, and that's where you get that deeper signification of Cancer being attributed to motherhood and things like that, especially that nurturing aspect of Cancer is seen there. And lymphatic system and bodily fluids, it has that aspect of water, the element of water. So especially with being a cardinal sign as well, you can drain your lymphatic system from nurturing and taking care of your body. Movement and working out and walking, or even just going up and down the stairs, can help drain your lymphatic system. What would happen? Well, I would suggest looking up what would happen if your lymph nodes are, backed up. And why I mention the water is because the lymphatic system, what it's doing is that it's filtering waste, different toxins that you've taken in from the air, through the food that you're eating, if it's any processed foods especially, or just any sort of anything. the drinks that you're drinking. So, water, alcohol, soda. Um, those are the only things I can think of right now. But, and I'm sure, of course, there's, fluids that and foods that will help aid in that, and activity that will help aid in that. And what it's doing is that it's reducing swelling, and it's overall promoting your health, because, you know, you'll see cases of like lymphedema or fibromyalgia, or even those who have recovered from certain surgeries need extra care, and not just, in regards to care, cancer, um, extra tending to all parts of themselves. And the moon, even though it rules over Cancer, the moon in our moon sign, no matter what sign it's in, it it dictates over our body. The moon is the body, um, the astrological body of our ego in the sun. The moon gets its light from the sun, that sort of thing. So, um, what the lymphatic system is just a network of vessels and nodes. So you'll look up a picture, and you could probably even feel it too, in certain aspects of like your neck, underneath your jawline here, and um, by your shoulders, by your pelvis, your knees, and your ankles. So it's all the way over, and like the back of your ears as well, and the back of your head. And it's collecting those excess fluids and those waste products, those free radicals that you've been taking in. It filters them, and then it returns them to the bloodstream so that it can, still process the positive nutrients and different things that your body is kind of dependent on to function properly. So, getting massages as well is a way to drain the lymphatic system. And, you'll get improved immune function when your lymph system is drained. Also drinking certain herbal teas, I've heard, can be beneficial for that. Pain relief as well. Anybody that suffers with rheumatoid arthritis, that inflammation. Again, that's what happens when lymph systems are backed up. You'll see, increased inflammation there, and that can be attributed to rheumatoid arthritis because that's what's happening there. And just like general detoxifying, because of the toxins from what you eat, and the correlation between all of these things that Cancer rules over anatomically, they all tie into each other. So a perfectly drained lymphatic system is definitely going to help you breathe better, and it's going to help you practice and engage that diaphragmatic breathing, breathing and then pushing your stomach out, maybe on purpose if you're still learning about it. And then when you breathe out, your stomach goes in. And your body naturally knows how to do that, but there was a time where I wasn't diaphragmatic breathing, and it was crazy. It was crazy. And these connections, they all stem from Cancer's connection to nurturing, protection, emotional sustenance, and the stomach's role in nourishment and the breast functioning and nurturing. They align with those fundamental qualities. And people with strong Cancer placements in their birth chart are sometimes believed to be more sensitive in these areas of the body. So if you have like a Cancer moon, or even Jupiter in Cancer, you might see a kind of, not inflamed, but more of a highlighted sense of these things happening. So making sure that you're eating foods that are going to be helping your stomach and digestive system, manage properly. I hope that you can't hear that too much. I'm gonna stop it here just and listen to how loud this potentially might be, and then I might put my AirPods in.